This is Chris, and I'm the host of the Slap the Floor podcast. I basically talk about anything on this podcast, honestly, if I feel like it. But it's called Slap the Floor because I'm most likely just going to be talking about basketball on this podcast. Uh, Reason why you may be asking, why is it called Slap the Floor? I'm a Duke fan. Whenever they slap the floor, it basically just means that, you know, the stuff is about to go down and they're finna lock in. Uh, but yeah, that's basically why I named it. It's because I'm a Duke fan and I love hoops. So I made this podcast also because I just wanted another hobby. I've been seeing some friends of mine have their own, some people that I know through others have their own, and it's just something that I've kind of always wanted to do. So this is my first pod. This is my test run, my guinea pig. It's gonna most likely be labeled episode 0. You know, just so you can see like a little pilot episode. You know, sort of say. You know, like on television. You know how the original episode of Family Guy or the original episode of The Office and other shows, they weren't, the same shows. There was a pilot to show you what the idea generally was and what it evolved into. So that's how I'm treating this one. So this is basically my test run. And yeah, one of the first things that I want to talk about, which is another major reason why I wanted to talk about, make this podcast, is my team sucks. And you may be asking yourself, what team is that? I am a former New Orleans native, born in New Orleans. Katrina obviously, made made me and my family had to move out. So, we have a pretty huge pride in where we're from, and we have we're fans of basically everything that's Louisiana when it comes down to the sports world. So that means I love LSU. I love my Saints. I'm a Pelicans fan, so certain things, that I've had to deal with this team for years that other people would not dare to deal with. But again, my love for the city, the home state, and just the love for the team in general, regardless of how trash we might be, is also one of the reasons why I want to talk about, the Pelicans and have a pod where I talk about my Pels. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of people that talk about the Pels in terms of podcasting, but I feel like I'll bring different views and stuff like that. Some similar, but one of the things that I want to talk about when it comes down to us, we suck. Like obviously we're god awful, but I also feel as though people don't understand why we're bad, and I also think that people just kind of throw us in this whole "you're just terrible" and da 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 da. Like now, obviously we are trash. I'm not gonna sit here and try to convince anybody, and I mean anybody, we're great at the game of basketball. I know we are not as good as a lot of teams, but I also think we have a lot of talent. Obviously, you want to start off with. I mean, the most popular guy. I mean, the most popular person is obviously Zion Williamson, but people, like to. I feel like one of the things that I really don't get what people aren't talking about when it comes down to the team is like, yes, we suck, right? But I think one of the biggest bright spots, especially if you're the NBA, is Zion has been healthy. Granted, he did, ironically, when I'm recording this podcast, the day before, he had a minor, ankle tweak. But he's been pretty great this entire year for the most part, in my honest opinion. I think he gets a lot of flack because his numbers aren't as amazing as previous years, but I do think that we also kind of got to understand like he's getting used to his new frame. He's lost a ton of weight. And I'm not, again, he's a professional basketball player. I get that. But, I think people seem to, there's not enough people, in my opinion, giving him kudos for just being able to finally be successfully, finally success. He's had success with losing the weight and maintaining his weight. And not only that, but he's also been pretty good. And I think his efficiency, granted the numbers aren't what they were, but he's still pretty freaking efficient. I mean, he's still like I think in the I think he's still like pretty high when it comes down to true shooting. He's like in the 60s. I'm pretty sure field goal percentage is almost like it's at 59%, which is pretty freaking high for, he's gotten better at free throw shooting. His free throw shooting has been better, in my honest opinion. He's shown that he doesn't have to. Granted, the team sucks. I agree with everyone when it comes down to he might. There's plenty of people that would say he's not the same in terms of he can impact the game by himself. But I do think that if he were on a team that actually was significantly better, not significantly, but if he was on a slightly better team, I think his impact would be more noticed. And again, in the NBA, winning matters. So obviously, that's all they care about. And especially when you're hurt, a lot of the time, people forget about you. But I do think he's been a bright spot, regardless of how people want to, put it. Trey Murphy's Trey Murphy. He's a great player. He's really good. I don't know what NBA team wouldn't want a Trey Murphy. I don't know what NBA team would not trade for a Trey Murphy if he were on the block and affordable. I mean, he does what you want in today's league at the wing position. He shoots threes. Questionable defender. I still to this day don't know why people think he's a great defender. He can be good though. He's a decent defender when he's locked in, a decent team defender. But offensively, he does everything that you want. Even he's gotten better at rebounding. He's gotten better at passing. He's gotten better at a lot of things. He might not be amazing at those, and his selling point is obviously the logo shooting and what he can do offensively now. But he is a really good basketball player, and especially with the rookies, they've been up and down. A lot of people would be shocked by this. I'm not the biggest Derek Queen fan, but I do see the potential. Jeremiah Fears, to me, I think he could be all world at the guard position. He just has to learn how to be a point guard. But when it comes down to the things that you want your 19, there's just certain things that a 19, 18-year-old point guard shouldn't be able to do in the league, and he's shown that he's able to. He's shown that he's able to play. He can contribute off the bench. I wasn't the biggest fan of when we threw him into the fire. Him and Queen. I wasn't the biggest fan of throwing him into the fire as rookies because, again, when you hit that wall, you hit that wall. And I do think that since they've came off the bench, especially Jeremiah, man, he has been pretty freaking good. It's almost like, again, when you're a rookie, you kind of have to sit there and see what you should and shouldn't do on the court before you actually, get full-on responsibility as a starter. And shout out to Borrego for finally righting the wrong that was done to these kids and just letting them come off the bench, see what they got to do, let them see the floor, let them learn from what the vets are doing and what they're seeing within the game, so they just do what they got to do to affect the game and worry about that instead of just having the whole world on their shoulders. And it's been pretty good seeing those guys come off the bench and contribute like they should have been from Jump Street. And Sadiq Bey, man, that dude, it's crazy to me that he was practically a throw-in. He was almost a throw-in. And the trade for CJ, which I slandered CJ, I miss you, buddy. I swear I do. I take back. I don't take back everything, but I'm not taking back everything. But Jordan Poole, man, we are lucky we have Sadiq Bey. And Sadiq Bey, man, if I'm Detroit, especially if I'm Atlanta and mainly the Wizards too, because after the Trae Young trade and the Anthony Davis, man, having Sadiq Bey right now, if you're the Wizards, would have been, especially next year with AD and him coming to either starting or coming off the bench as a wing, with those guys and the attention that they're getting, and you already seeing, if you watch Pelican games, how he affects the floor or how he affects the game with guys paying attention to Zion and Trey, him being able to just be effective when it comes down to taking advantage of these mismatches that they're just throwing his way, because again, you got to pay attention to all these guys. He to me is one of those players where when you have a guy or when you have two guys that are pretty good and defense is focused on them, it is so nice having players like Sadiq Bey that on the offensive end, they're just like, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes, to where if you're going to just focus on guys like Zion and Trey, I'm going to punish whoever you throw at me every single time. And he's so versatile with his scoring. Like, he's a 3-level scorer. He can just score in so many different ways, man. And defensively, he's not the best defender, but he competes. He's a player where I really do hope that, and I think Troy Weaver's going to re-sign him. I hope he does, and I hope the contract, he deserves his money, and I hope the contract is something to where if we end up, and he's pretty young too, but if we end up having to trade him, I hope that the contract is lucrative for him, and I hope that it's a contract that teams will sit there and be like, listen, man, we'll give up a first, maybe if a team is desperate enough, mess around first, a bunch of seconds or whatever to get this guy on my team, because there are a plethora of teams right now that would want Sadiq Bey. And I do understand. You're probably sitting there like, oh, well, the topic was your team sucks. But, yeah, and we do suck. But at the end of the day, I just feel like there's just so much, there's potential, I feel like, with this team. There's obviously there's bad things, like Herb Jones just fell off a cliff, and I love Herb, but golly, man, he gotta. I think we just gotta trade him for whatever we can get. There's gonna be a team, I think, dumb enough to give us a first. Hopefully it's this year, which another thing, that Derek Queen trade. I'm one of the Pelicans fans that I don't care how good Derek Queen is. I'm not doing that trade at all. And I was one of those guys where before I thought Derek Queen was going to be a monster in the league. I thought he would be really good. Whoever gets him, I did not want him like that. So, yeah, I do think that trade, especially now, like, even though we're winning, and I also kind of gotten to a point where it's just like, man, like, honestly, if it ain't, as long as that pick ain't in the top 3, hey, I don't care no more. Like, I've gotten to that point with it. Even though there are guys in theory I would want. I mean, I'm high on Jeremiah Fears as our point guard because he's shown flashes that he can actually be a point guard. So when it comes down to the other guards in this draft, it's like I don't really care that much when it comes down to that. So the only thing that I would have wanted was, I mean, obviously a big or a wing, to replace Herb and to basically who would have been the other big if Derek Queen wasn't here. But yeah, I'm this year has been hectic. It's been pretty bad for us, but again, there's ways to fix this situation. I do think that we do have to make some trades. I'm one of those people where I'm not pro trade DeJounte unless, and that, which would sound crazy to some people, but I do think that the point guard position, especially when you're Jeremiah fears you're that young. It's best if you probably sit for like another year or two. For like a year or two, not another year. Not next year. If he shows that he's good, then you probably just move off DeJounte, or if during the offseason he's shown flashes or shown the potential that he should show within the next year, then yeah, obviously you move off DeJounte. But until then, if you can't get a better deal for DeJounte, I'd probably just keep him for another year or two. And Jordan Poole, honestly, I don't know what team would want him. And you're at a point where you're kind of like the Miami Heat when they were with Terry Rozier. You just got to sit there and keep him until further notice. And once the contract is gone, hey, free money. But again, unless for me personally, we don't have assets. We don't have enough assets to just throw away in a trade just to get rid of Jordan Poole. I just couldn't. I don't agree with it unless you package him with one of the guys that teams actually want, which would obviously lower the assets you get back. But unless we could do that, I don't want. I am content, especially since we have our pick next year. I'm content if they end up going the route of the only move that they do, I guess, is to try and get back into the draft in terms of a first round pick. If we got to get rid of Herb, I'm getting rid of Herb. I'm sorry. I love Herb. He'll forever be a Pelican, but nah, he gotta go, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's just how I feel about the team at the moment. I don't think we're as bad as people say we are. I do, however, think that clearly we have our flaws, and we are in a pretty bad situation. Missing out on a top 10 pick in this draft sucks. And again, I've watched a lot of these guys in AAU for a long time. Been a Cam Boozer fan before he committed to my Blue Devils. Been a Darren Peterson guy for the longest. Heck, I don't like Carolina. Them UNC bigs, I would love them on my Pelicans right now because we need big depth. Because Jordan at the center, DeAndre Jordan as my starting center in 2026 is a thing. Shout out to Unc, bro. But I can't do this. I can't do that no more. Going into next year, and Looney was yeah, we made a lot of bad decisions, but I do think that we can right a lot of those wrongs. We just gotta, sacrifice another fan favorite. Fortunately, but as long as we get the job done, man, that's all that matters to me. We have potential. We can do something in New Orleans. It's just we just gotta get our stuff together. And another topic I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the Lakers. Now, the reason why I want to talk about the Lakers, I'm friends with a lot of Laker fans. I've been forced to in discourse because, they're the Lakers. They're the late night team. We watch a lot of Laker games. This is a hot take. I do not think, especially with this year in particular, I don't think, obviously, they're not winning this year. I don't think that they're winning this year. And I firmly believe that this year has kind of shown to me that the Lakers might have, and obviously they got a LeBron problem because LeBron should not be still. He shouldn't still be there. Move off of him, but let him go. Just let him retire somewhere else. Let him go in the sunset. And even with all of the young guys that they've gotten, I mean, Austin Reeves has taken a crazy leap. I never thought he'd be this good. He's looking like an all NBA player. I think he should be, in my honest opinion. I think he deserves an all NBA team. But outside of that, and they have quality role players too, like Rui, who gets so much slack, and Vando, who's improved. I think I would love a Vando. I think they have a lot of guys. They have some guys where it's like, as role players, they're pretty quality, right? But the issue that I think that they will end up consistently running into every single year is when it comes down to Luka Doncic. I think he is one of the hardest players that you could ever build around. And I think people are going to end up seeing that in 4K with the Lakers. And it's going to get worse than when it was with the Mavericks. And the reason I say that is because, yes, the Lakers, like if you want to say Lakers, get whoever you want. If you're one of those people, yes, okay, the Lakers get extremely lucky, of course, right? A lot of historic franchises do. I mean, it's sports. But my thing is, when it comes down to Luca, you need specific types of players, and you need a specific type of. You need to play a specific brand of basketball that, for a lot of players, isn't something that you can win with, in the sense of the players around him have to be they have to be so good at they have to be good at doing the little things. They have to have a desire to do the little things. They have to be really good at defense. They have to be good at defense. I don't think you have to be amazing, but you have to be serviceable, pretty good. You have to also be able to hit threes at a good enough clip too. You have to be a 3 and D with a motor. Your bigs, they got to rebound, play hard every single night, take no breaks off. Your number two has to also be able to play off of Luca, which I think they have that in Austin. Austin and Luca, they fit perfectly. They have that down. Now, also, you got to pay Austin. Listen, if you're a Laker fan that cries if they got to pay not Luca, Austin, anywhere close to 50 or whatever, shut up. That's how I feel. You shut up, because you got, first off, Austin Reeves is gonna get a bag anywhere else. Yeah, he's homegrown. You don't let players like that go. Trust me, I've seen certain guys leave, and I'm like, dang. Like, for example, Nikhil, still, that hurts me to this day. Granted, we tried to make him play a certain brand of basketball he shouldn't have played, and he got better at other places too. But seeing guys like him leave, I'm like, dang, bro, I wish he was still here. Guys like Najee, I'm like, dang, bro, like, we already saw what you were here when you were here, but it's like, dang, like, I wish he would have stayed, you know? So it's kind of like, you don't want that to leave, especially when you know that he fits the way that your star player kind of needs his number two to play. Is Austin a number two? I don't. I can't. I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, I think he's an All NBA player. So clearly, I think this year in particular, especially if he keeps it up, he can be. Obviously, he should. Probably is. I'd probably say yeah, without a doubt. But the way he's playing, yeah, he's clearly a really good number two. But I do think they're going to get to a point where you need a better big than Aiton. You need a better big than Aiton, because Aiton, from a night to night basis, I do not know what he is going to do. That is just the truth of the matter. That's just how it is. You don't know what you're going to get out of him night in and night out. And to me, that's you can't have that at the big spot with Luka. You need bigs that are going to have motors. They're going to be like Lively and Gafford. You know, those guys, they had high motors. They were there every single night. They played their butt off. They rebounded. They crashed the boards. They just did, block shots, played with high energy, set good screens, and rolled consistently, whether they got the ball or not. It did not matter if they got the ball the next possession after making a big play. They just wanted to be on the floor and make an impact. And from night in and night out, I do not know if Aiton is going to do that. So I think you need bigs similar to those guys. You need 3 and D wings whose motors are every single night. We're here to do this one thing: shoot threes or hit open shots, play defense. I don't care if I get the ball. I'm here for shoot threes, attack closeouts, play defense. That's all. I don't need the ball. Like, you need guys like that. Dallas, the year they went to the finals, had that. I again, I do think, I mean, the playoffs is matchups dependent anyway. I do 100%, and I've said it then, and I'll say it now. I do think that they went as far as they did because yes, the roster was built pretty doggone good, but I think they exploited a lot of matchups because that Thunder team, PJ Washington had a field day. That's just how they defended it. Hey, you can't knock it. I mean, he hit those shots, so you can say it's fluky. And then the Timberwolves, man, the Nuggets, what they did the previous series, that to me was crazy. But at the same time, hey, bro, it's game 7, do or die. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Rudy Gobert hits a crazy shot that he doesn't do. It doesn't matter. All that matters is he hit the shot. So, Cat played great defense. And he shot terrible. Doesn't matter. All of a sudden, he turned into Gary Payton. Who would have thought? But, yeah, bro, like, I do think that when it comes down to them in particular, the Lakers, I think, obviously, you won the AD trade. It's one of the worst trades ever. Just when it comes down to just you traded you basically traded a top 5 player who's not even reached his prime yet for Anthony Davis, who he's really good, but we see where he is now. So, but shout out to Max Christie. Yeah, I love Max Christie. I love Max Christie. Cooper Flag. I'm not gonna say Adam Silver. But hey, he probably did. He probably was like, hey, shout out to Nico for giving the Lakers one of the best players in the league. A guy that some people would say is the best player in the league. And here's Cooper Flag, generational talent, Duke Blue Devil. But yeah, also I'll probably end up in the future talking about Cooper Flag and how I feel like he has the potential to be the best player probably in the league over Wemby. Again, I get it. It might sound crazy to some people. Wemby, oh my gosh, he's such a great defender. Da, 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 da. Listen, my Cooper Flag to me is one of the best young players I've ever seen in my life. If Cooper Flag told me today that, in the next year or so that he's going to shoot 50, 40, 90, that kid works his butt off so much that I've seen just being a Duke fan and a fan before then when I was like praying to the Lord above that we got him, that he just works so hard. I would not be shocked if in year 2 out of the blue he does that. And again, yes, it's hyperbole, but again, he to me is just one of those guys where, again, I'm going to talk about him in a future podcast and my thoughts on him as a player because he is one of my favorite players. But yeah, the Mavericks got lucky. Wink, wink with that one. But yeah, I just think that the Lakers, man, you got Luka, just re-sign Reeves. This year, obviously, is just a throwaway. The future to me after that is like, can you build a roster around him that can, in the West, especially with all the young guys that they got? I don't know. It's kind of tough. It's like, for example, Jokic, generational talent. Players like him are hard to build around too because a big that doesn't play great defense. And you can't. I mean, Jamal Murray doesn't need the ball, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, they were just such a perfectly built roster, and even then with that, you kind of feel like they got lucky because Aaron Gordon, nobody thought that he'd be as good as he is now. They just get these guys these players that were like decent players on other teams, but it's like all of a sudden they go there, and yes, it's because of Jokic being so great and the system that they run, and Jamal Murray being freaking phenomenal. He was one of the most underrated players in the league. I don't get how he doesn't have multiple. I mean, I get why he doesn't have multiple All-Stars. And this year, I think he is an All-NBA player. He should be an All-NBA player. But uh, that situations like that, man, it's just hard to have. You just can't get situations like that. You can't just get OKC situations where they have their entire roster is NBA players. Like, and I don't mean NBA players. I mean there's guys on their bench that would start on teams that are currently in the playoffs, but they have them on the bench. It's not normal. It's just, but yeah, you can. I mean, it's hard to have those type of rosters and get those type of teams. And if you're the Lakers, I mean, you did a part of the work. Just you did a lot, just getting Luka, and then you just pay Reeves whatever the heck he asked for. The rest, it just comes down to just asset management and free agency. There's a lot of guys that they can get, like Peyton Watson. I'm pretty sure he'll gladly be a Laker when the Nuggets probably can't pay him. I mean, guys like that. Keon Ellis will be on the market. There's plenty of 3&D guys and other bigs. I'm pretty sure they still have their picks. So, I mean, hey, you could probably get I mean, it's a pretty good draft, too. So, you could potentially, if the season doesn't work out the way that you want, get a big. I mean, there's not a lot of bigs in this draft, but there's some quality bigs that the Lakers could use that could help them out. Uh, but, yeah. So, that's my thing. But yeah, I don't think it'll be a major struggle for them. But I do think that this year has shown that they got a lot of problems, and they're in trouble because again, some of these problems, man. I mean, they're just within the next year. That some of them will handle themselves, like the LeBron thing. But again, if some team asks, you'll have the money for Austin. But again, if Rob Pelinka is stupid, I know, And then again, free agency, there's guys, but again, that just being the Lakers thing. If somebody just throws the money at Peyton Watson or something, and they just promise him, hey, bro, like we'll build around. Well, you'll obviously, I mean, when you're obviously Peyton Watson, who came from a winning situation, will want to play with a winning player like Luka, duh. But some guys, man, they get that money thrown in their way, and they're like, I'm young. I wanna just chase his bag for once. You don't get that opportunity every single time. And he's having a career year, so you never know. But yeah, I do think that they're in trouble, but they can get out of it. Another thing I want to talk about college hoops, but in particular, my Duke Blue Devils. I don't want to jinx us because we play NC State. At NC State, we are not very good in that place. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen us lose so many times at NC State. It boggles my mind. But I will say, I do think that due to our size or whatever, we should handle NC State. Especially after how we handled UVA. And oh my, I didn't expect that type of beating to UVA at home. But this Duke team, man. I tell my friends that I tell my close friends this all the time. With this Duke team, man, they're just so like there's something. Last year's team, yes, I get it. People, we had a bunch of NBA guys, obviously, on that team. Just like any Duke team. I mean, Duke gets NBA guys, cool, whatever. But the difference is, last year's team to me, I felt like. Yeah, duh. I do think that we should have won. I think we could have won it all. I didn't have us winning it though. I had Florida because that team to me, as you can see, they had a bunch of NBA guys, and they have a bunch of NBA guys too. And oh my gosh, that their guard play and their bigs were amazing. And you're seeing even now that all they needed was their guards to not be trash, and that team is pretty scary right now, just off the strength of their bigs and the wings. But the thing that separates this Duke team from last year's team to me is just like this team just has. I'm not saying that last year's team didn't have grit, but I feel like a lot of last year's team to me was just like they were just more talented, and they had really good players, obviously, and John coached his butt off, but like so much of that was just like, you got Cooper Flag, you got Con Knibble, like two guys that are, really should be co-rookie of the years. And you got guys coming off of your bench that are starting now, like Isaiah and Pat. And Pat was hurt for most of last year, but and then you got Malawak and you got veterans coming off of the bench and guys like Caleb Foster who's starting now, but he was coming off of the bench in that nice being your six man, giving you a needed punch. It's just like that team to me. I feel like we didn't really need. We didn't really like. I think we lost. Like for example, I think we lack grit compared to this team mainly because like games like you could even say like the Houston game, like the way we lost to Houston is like we just unraveled so badly. But we did that in a lot of the games that were close. Simple like when it got close, we did that. I mean, against Kansas, I think we did that. Against Kentucky, we did it. Now, obviously, people would be like, I think there were excuses for some Duke fans when it comes down to each of those games, but this team in particular, it's like when we are in these close games, I don't really have a fear that we're gonna lose. The only time I mean, granted, I mean the UNC game, we did that, and then Texas Tech. But to me, Texas Tech, which I'm so sad JT Toppin got injured, man. They were the team where when I just felt like that Texas Tech team, they were inconsistent. But if JT Toppin doesn't get hurt, they're one of the favorites, man. And Carolina, once Pat got injured, I mean, I think he fouled out. He fouled out and he was playing through injury, but once Pat got off that floor, and one of the biggest advantages we have is our size. And Malik, I mean, Malik and Cam, I'm pretty sure, from what I remember, they did a good job in the second half against Caleb Wilson. It's just again, Vasir just went off because Pat wasn't there. So Pat fouling out and going 13 minutes without a foul is crazy. But that's neither here nor there. This team, man, like especially with the Michigan game, people would sit there and be like, "Oh, Michigan missed a lot of open shots." Bro, it's basketball. In March, guess what? You're going to miss some open shots that you normally make. That doesn't matter. That's not an excuse. We played great defense that entire game. We played lockdown defense. We were great on both ends. John Shire's play calling. Oh my gosh, those out of timeout plays were freaking amazing. And Cam Boozer, bro. Cam Boozer in big games this entire year, he has shown. In first halves, he might just start off slow, but in these second halves, man, when the money is on the line, I don't remember a Duke player where consistently, I know for a fact he's gonna show up every single time. Every single time when we need him. And yes, he missed the shot against UNC. Yes, he did miss the free throws. I think he missed free throws in the shot against Texas Tech. This is going to happen sometimes. He's 18, okay? He's 18 years old. But to me, man, he is the best Duke freshman I've ever seen. He's having the best Duke freshman year I've ever seen. Better than Cooper's. To me, better than Zion's in terms of just what he does on the basketball court, man. And again, the club, Zion, him and Zion are probably close neck and neck. To me, significantly more neck and neck to me than the Cooper Flag year. But Cam Boozer, man, he to me is probably my favorite Duke freshman ever. And I'm not gonna lie, he watching him play, he might be my favorite Duke player that I've ever seen because every single big game, it's like he does what is necessary for the team to win, and that's why I don't understand why people question the athleticism thing. It's stupid to me because he's athletic. He's just not a freak athlete. He's physically imposing, like 6'8", 6'9", physically imposing. I guess you're going to sit there and be like, oh, well, he can only play the four. And you question, like, oh, well, how good can he be in the league? Listen, Kevin Love was 6'8". We went years thinking he was 6'10", 6'11". He was 6'8". Okay. A lot of these guys are not as crazy tall as you think they are. And then, again, they're NBA players. They're tall, right? But, again, he's got his dad's height. He got his dad's body when it comes down to just pure bodybuilder. But the difference is his dad, good mid-range shooter. Cam Boozer can shoot and play at all three levels. He can do it at all three levels. And he's a great rebounder. Oh, guess what? At 18, one of the best passers you've probably ever seen as a big. Might be one of the best passers in the league when he comes in. So, to me, my comp for him has always been like, I think he's like Kevin Love on steroids. To me, he's always reminded me of that. Offensively, he reminds me a lot of Kevin Love. And then I think he's going to be a better defender, even though defensively this year he's been kind of. But it doesn't. To me, again, is when you have a center next to him, he's a great team defender, great off the ball. He's smart. Obviously, he shouldn't be consistently switching on the guards and being the main primary rim deterrent. But I mean, he's a really good team defender. He does everything that you want. But yeah, I personally feel as though, again, he's one of the best Duke players I've ever seen. This team, to me, man, I would be disappointed if they don't make it to the championship at least. I would be so disappointed because they're so battle tested. They're so ready. They've shown that they can execute when need be multiple times this year. Yes, they've fallen short because they're still kind of young. And again, I mean, it's college basketball. These are young guys. But this team, to me, man, I love this team. I love this team way more than last year's team. This is probably my favorite Duke team to watch ever. Like, I mean, I was a Duke fan with Nolan and them when they won. I was a fan as a kid when I saw Tyus and them win. I even go back and watch old Duke teams like my favorite Duke team to watch whenever I get bored is the team that won. They won in 01. I think it was 2001 with Battier, Dunleavy, Boozer, and Jay. This team, to me, man, they're my favorite team that I've ever watched with my own two eyes live, and they might actually be my favorite team in general outside of that 01 team that won, because I just love every single player on here, man, and it would be a bummer to see these guys not win. But my last thing I want to talk about, I'm gonna do a player of the week. Most likely gonna be people on my team, or just players that I just saw and I'm like, dang, man, like these guys are tough. For example, my player of the week, I was going to do a particular player. I'll do it my next one. There was a Duke player, but this one I'm going to do LeBron Philon from Alabama. And boy, I remember that game last year where he played against us, and he was annoying as hell. But man, this dude, I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and he asked me, because he wasn't really watching college basketball like that this year. He was just now kind of getting into it. But he was like, he asked me like how I thought about Acuff and all the other point guards. And I was like, to be honest, people talk about Kingston. People are falling in love with Acuff. I love Acuff too. Mikael Brown. I'm not the biggest Mikael Brown fan. Philon, to me, man, I feel like he doesn't get talked enough about, in my honest opinion. Like, his leap is insane. Like, his leap from last year to this year is so insane. Because it's like, you're one of the leading scorers in the SEC. Last year, your biggest knock was you couldn't shoot a lick. And then it's like, percentage-wise, you went up 5 to 6 percentages of field goal percentage. You jump from 32% from three on 3 to 4 attempts to 39% on 6 attempts. Like, what? Your usage got up. You went from 11 points to 21, and you're the main guy night in and night out. And again, that game he had against Acuff, man. Listen, he could have folded. Like he could have. Listen, man. Watching another guy drop almost 50 on you is like mind-numbingly, like, it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing. It's like anyone that's played basketball, when you play against somebody and it's like you just can't do nothing about what he's doing. A lot of guys, they just crumble. Not Phylon. He in that second half, man, he just went crazy. He had 35, and he went bonkers, bro. And even the other night against the Volunteers, game on the line, he attacks the switch. Also, one of my favorite clips, bro. Watching him get the switch, and he just shakes his head. He's like, "They messed up," and I know Rick Barnes knew he messed up too, because boy, oh boy, did he cook that man. He put that man on the freaking think and he did what he had to do, and he's made big shots this year. He's improved a lot. I think, in my honest opinion, he's probably the best defender out of the point guards in his class. But it's also like, man, like, he's shown to me that out of all the guards in this class, I think he's the safest bet. I think he is by far the safest bet, because last year he's shown I can play in a crowded backcourt. I can play on a team full of a bunch of guards, and then play, wait my turn, play a role. I'm going to just shut up and do what I got to do to win, because that's all I care about. I care about winning. And to me, that says a lot, man. That said a whole lot. That's why that team to me was so dangerous. And I was concerned when we played them, because I'm like, this team, they shoot a lot of threes. They do a lot. Those guards were crazy good. And he was just one of those guards where he just was like, I know for a fact that I'm better than, or I'm more talented than a lot of these guys. But at the end of the day, I got a role to play, and I'm going to play that role. And he played his role, man. And shout out to him. He was amazing. He was amazing the other night. He's having an amazing year. I wish my Pelicans had a pick, because boy, oh boy, him on the backcourt with Phylon and Jeremiah Fears, oh my gosh. Especially since I think Phylon could guard both the point and the two. It sucks, man. It sucks not having a pick in this draft. But yeah, man, LeBron Phylon, man, that's my player of the week. And I've been talking for a while now, but yeah, this is my podcast, man. This is the Slap the Floor podcast, episode 0. To anyone that listens to this, I want to thank you. You don't gotta like the podcast. You don't have to, be a major fan, or just be like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Give me advice in the comments. Give me, any type of advice, whether it be on social media or whatever, when it comes down to this podcast, because this is just a test run, and I want to just, see how far I can take this thing as a hobby, because I really do like basketball and other sports. I'm kind of not depressed, but I wish I would have did this during football season, because my goodness, I would have had a lot to say. But yeah, man, this is the Slap the Floor podcast, man. I'm your host, CJ, aka Y2J, aka CJ the God. I got a lot of AKAs, but yeah, man, I want to thank y'all for listening, and tune into the next one. Appreciate you. Peace.